What is going on, YouTube? Smashing Pumpkin here, coming at you guys with another edition of Fun Deck Friday. For today's video, I'd like to thank the Crazed Jester for the suggestion. He wanted me to do a video on the sub-archetype known as Scourge, so I'm complying with him. He gave me a lot of suggestions. He's probably the person that's giving me the most suggestions, so I'm now just kind of retroactively going to find them and try and do them. They're all in the queue, so that's pretty good. Thank you very much for the suggestion. So I'll introduce you guys to the very interesting sub-archetype known as the Scourge. The Scourge are a series of 3 monsters that were released in the Force of the Breaker, and they were kind of made at a very awkward period for Konami. They just kind of realized their mistakes that they'd previously made with the Chaos monsters. This was the point in the game where all 3 of them were banned. Chaos Sorcerer, Black Luster Soldier, and Chaos Emperor Dragon were all banned at the same time. They were completely done. They'd had it with Chaos Sorcerer even, because it was enabled in the Chaos Return decks of 2006, I believe. So they were pretty much not having big monsters just ruling the game. So they tried to release something for those kind of players, but they made them jump through a whole lot of hoops to try and get to an effect that I don't really think was worth it necessarily for some of these cards. Either the hoops were too big to jump through, or their effects were just so milding that it didn't really matter if you got to where they needed to go. So all of them have the condition that they cannot be normal summoned or set, or they cannot be that they cannot be special summoned except by their effect. Norlaris removes 3 Dark Fiends and 1 Light Fairy. Norlaris' effect is that you can pay 1,000 life points to send all cards in the field and in both players' hands to the graveyard, and then you draw 1 card. So essentially you put yourself +1 to your opponent, and this card played a huge role in a lot of decks. It was played in Twilight as a 1-of that you could use your Phantom of Chaos with, banish it, and then just use its effect that way. I don't think that there was a whole lot of ways for it to be summoned. And it's also used in the Dark Creator Turbos for the same reason, kind of their win condition, that they reduce you down to no cards, and then they proceed to initiate a top decking war that they're destined to win. The next one is Scourge Endrise. This is actually my favorite art of the 3, and it requires that you banish 3 Light Fairy types and then 1 Dark Fiend. And then it has the Chaos Sorcerer effect, but it has 100 more attack than Chaos Sorcerer, so that's kind of cool. Scourge Invincible, it cannot be special summoned, and this is the only one that you can normal summon. And if you summon this card by tributing one of the following monsters, it gets the effect. If you tribute a Light Fairy type monster, it has Spell Canceller, where you negate the effects of all spell cards. And then if you tribute a Dark Fiend type monster, it gains the Jinzo effect of negate all trap cards. And with 2200 attack, it is a little bit better than Spell Canceller and just a touch worse than Jinzo. So those are the Scourge monsters. They are kind of fan favorites. They were released during a time where you didn't really have these huge monsters, and like this is the one way that you could play it. If you played a lot of Dark Fiends and Light Fairies, you can kind of jam these in there, and they did pretty cool things. The problem that I had with this deck was that if you replaced Endrise with Chaos Sorcerer, it would have essentially been the same thing, if not better. So I tried to make a list where all the Scourge monsters mattered, and they were at least somewhat better than their Chaos counterparts that are legal. So that was one restriction I put for this deck. The other was no Burning Abyss. I think that was a really lazy cop-out way of trying to do this. Would just be to jam Tour Guide and Scarms and probably like a Seer or 2 into the deck, and then just jam in some Light Fairies to mill off, and then the Scourge monsters. I thought that would be pretty lazy, so I tried to do something that was a little bit creative. Utilize the fact that they are a little bit different. So let's go right into the deck profile. Alright, to start things off, we play 2 Endrise, 2 Norlaris, and then 1 Invincible. You don't really want to play a whole lot of these guys because they are very dead in your opening hand. And then we play a small Dark World Engine. These are the Dark Fiends of the deck, and they'll help you accelerate more of them into your graveyard. So we play 3 Graph, we play 3 Snow, 3 Brow, and then 1 Beige. Just very basic. They'll give pluses to your cards, help you accelerate further into the game. Also, Graph is really cool with top decking more if you create it with Norlaris, because once you drop a Fiend type monster, you have a 2700 beater to their pretty much nothing, so that's pretty cool. Further accelerate you into the deck, you play 3 Curry Bandit. Pretty self-explanatory, I guess. Help you get your light fairies in the graveyard. 1 Family Chaos, you can use Norlaris' effect. It helps you come from behind, essentially, if you fall really behind in the game. Then you play 2 Alchemist. To Christia. This is just a big boss monster. It's level 8, so it works with trade-in pretty well. You can summon it off of Valhalla, and then that's a technical win condition for the deck. I have won a few games like that, which is not something I'm ultimately very proud of, but yeah. And then there are not a whole bunch of light fairy type monsters that are just kind of good on their own. So I threw in 1 Hecatrice and then the 1 Valhalla, just for another light fairy to put in the deck. So for your spell cards, we play 3 Dark World Dealings, just to help you accelerate further into the deck. 3 Gates to the Dark World. This doesn't technically help you add to the dark count that's in the graveyard, but hopefully with the dealings that you've activated and your trade-ins and just gameplay in general, your Curry Bandits, you were able to bin Dark Fiends into the graveyard. And then 3 trade-in, just draw cards, and 1 Valhalla, 1 Monster Incarnation, get back boss monsters that you had to bin early in the game, and then Allure, Raigeki, and then Foolish Burial. The main reason why I chose to profile this particular build as opposed to another build was because this is the one way that you could consistently summon level 8 monsters to your side of the field, because that's kind of the main distinction between Enrise and Chaos Sorcerer. Chaos Sorcerer is 6 and Enrise is 8, and I think that the rank 8s are a little bit better than the rank 6s. So Grapha is the 1 Dark Fiend monster that you can special summon fairly consistently if it's level 8. So I decided to throw that into the deck with the Enrises. You can then make rank 8s, and then that is the one distinguishing factor between it and Chaos Sorcerer that makes it just a little bit more interesting. It is kind of a niche thing, doesn't really happen that often, but it is the reason why I play the deck as opposed to another variant. So yeah, that is the Scourge deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed. Give this deck a shot. It's definitely something that's fairly fun. You can play it at your locals, try and make people rage, I guess. That is kind of what Dark Worlds do a little bit, but yeah. I think that's all for me for now. So, thank you guys for watching. Oh, if you guys are going to the Indie Regional, I'm thinking about going to that. It's not definite, like 100% sure thing, but yeah. If you guys are going, like, say hey. I'll be there, trading mainly. I don't know if I'll be playing it because I don't really have a deck right now. But yeah, segues, things, bye, hi, bye.